Blood dripped from Emeka Okafor's split lip as he lay unconscious on the cold pavement of a Geg motor road. His expensive Range Rover sat empty 50 meters away, doors flung open like broken wings. The five men who had dragged him from his car had vanished into the Lagos night with his wallet, phone, and gold watch. At 12:15 a.m., the street was dead silent except for the distant hum of a generator. Emeka's breathing was shallow, his face swollen from the brutal beating. A gash on his forehead leaked steadily onto the cracked asphalt. Nobody walked these streets at this hour. Nobody except Adunni Balogun, who was hurrying home from her night shift at a local bar, her small handbag clutched tightly against her chest. She almost didn't see him lying there in the shadows between two broken streetlights. Almost stepped over what she first thought was a pile of old clothes. But something made her stop and look closer. Her gasp echoed in the empty street when she realized it was a man, barely breathing. Adunni's hands shook as she knelt beside the unconscious stranger. Blood covered half his face, and his expensive shirt was torn and dirty. She had never seen anyone beaten this badly. Sir, can you hear me?" she whispered, afraid to touch him, but more afraid to leave him there to die. No response. His pulse was weak but steady under her trembling fingers. She looked around the deserted street, her mind racing. The nearest hospital was Ikeja General, at least 15 minutes away by taxi. But finding a taxi at this hour in this area would be nearly impossible. Then she remembered Baba Musa, the old taxi driver who sometimes slept in his car at the motor park 3 streets away. 20 minutes later, she was helping Baba Musa lift the unconscious man into the back seat of his ancient Peugeot. She climbed in beside him, using her headscarf to stop the bleeding from his forehead. "Madam, this man looked like big man," Baba Musa said, glancing in the rearview mirror. "You know him?" "No," Adunni replied softly, watching the stranger's chest rise and fall. "I just found him like this." At the hospital, she helped the nurses get him onto a stretcher, gave them her name when they asked who brought him in, then quietly slipped away into the early morning darkness. She never expected to see him again. When Emeka's eyes opened 2 days later, the first thing he saw was white ceiling tiles and fluorescent lights. His head pounded like thunder, and every muscle in his body screamed in pain. "Thank God you're awake," said a young nurse checking his IV drip. "We were worried about the head injury." "Where am I?" His voice came out as a croak. "Ikeja General Hospital. You were brought in 3 nights ago, beaten half to death." Emeka tried to remember. He had been driving to the airport for his London flight when his car broke down. Then men appeared from nowhere, dragging him out, demanding money. After that, everything went black. "Who brought me here?" he asked. The nurse consulted her chart. "A young woman named Adunni. She left after making sure you were stable." "Adunni? Did she leave a contact number?" "I'm sorry, no. She just disappeared after the doctors took over." Emeka closed his eyes, trying to process this information. A complete stranger had found him dying on the street and saved his life, then vanished without a trace. In his world of business deals and calculated relationships, such selfless kindness seemed impossible. He reached for his phone to call his assistant, then remembered it was gone, along with everything else. "I need to make a call," he said urgently. "Can you help me?" Ibrahim, Emeka's head of security, arrived at the hospital within an hour, bringing clothes, money, and 3 other security men. His face was grim as he surveyed his boss's injuries. "Oga, we thought you were dead when you didn't show up for the London meeting. Your mother nearly had a heart attack." "Cancel all my appointments for the week," Emeka said, struggling to sit up. "I need to find someone." "The police are already investigating." "Not the robbers. The woman who saved me. Her name is Adunni." Ibrahim looked confused. "Sir, you should be resting. The doctor said." "I'm not resting until I find her." Emeka's voice carried the authority that had built a business empire. "We're going back to where it happened, tonight." 2 hours later, a convoy of 3 SUVs pulled up at the exact spot where Emeka had been attacked. The area looked different in daylight, less threatening but still rough around the edges. Small shops, local bars, and roadside food stalls lined the busy street. "Start asking questions," Emeka told his men. "Someone must know who Adunni is." They spent the next 4 hours canvassing the area, showing photos from the hospital's security cameras. Most people claimed they hadn't seen anything, but their eyes betrayed recognition when they saw Emeka's expensive clothes and security detail. Finally, an old woman selling oranges pointed toward a small bar called Comfort Zone. "That Adunni girl, she worked there sometimes, but she no come today." Comfort Zone was exactly what it sounded like, a dimly lit local bar with plastic chairs, loud music, and the smell of fried fish in the air. When Emeka walked in with Ibrahim, conversation stopped and all eyes turned to them. "Good evening," Emeka said to the woman behind the counter. "I'm looking for someone called Adunni who works here." The woman, who introduced herself as Mama Comfort, studied them suspiciously. "Who'd I ask?" "My name is Emeka. Adunni helped me a few nights ago when I was in trouble. I was beaten by thieves, almost left to die. I want to thank her." A young woman serving drinks at a corner table suddenly perked up, her eyes widening as she took in Emeka's expensive clothes and gold watch. She whispered something to her friend, then walked over with an exaggerated smile. "I am Adunni," she said confidently. "You be the man way I helped that night?" Something felt wrong immediately. Her voice was too high, her smile too practiced. She was pretty enough, but there was a calculating look in her eyes that made Emeka uncomfortable. "You helped me?" he asked carefully. "Yes, now." She moved closer, her perfume strong and cloying. "I've been so worried about you." Emeka glanced at Ibrahim, who was frowning. His security chief had the same instincts that had kept them both alive in business for years. "Thank you," Emeka said slowly. "I'd like to show my appreciation. Can we talk somewhere private?" The girl, who claimed to be Adunni, eagerly agreed to leave with Emeka. He told Ibrahim to take them to one of his safe houses in Ikeja, a modest apartment he used for confidential meetings. "This your house?" the girl asked, looking around the simple, furnished space with obvious disappointment. "Yes," Emeka lied smoothly. "I hope it's comfortable enough." He had deliberately dressed down for this meeting, wearing jeans and a plain shirt instead of his usual suits. The gold watch was gone, replaced with a cheap digital one. He wanted to see what kind of person this girl really was. "So, you live here alone?" she asked, settling onto the couch and crossing her legs deliberately. "Most of the time. Business hasn't been great lately." Her enthusiasm dimmed noticeably. "What kind of business you do?" "Small import and export. Nothing too exciting." He sat across from her, studying her reactions. "Tell me exactly what happened the night you found me." The girl launched into a detailed story about finding him near a Agege Motor Road, calling a taxi, and rushing him to the hospital. But her details were vague, and she kept embellishing with dramatic flourishes that felt rehearsed. "The thing cost me plenty money that night," she said with a sigh. "Taxi fare, hospital bill, everything. I nearly used my last savings." There it was, the real reason for her performance. "I no get much money now," she continued, "but I no mind help people. Na just say things hard for me too. My mama need operation, my house rent don't expire." Emeka nodded sympathetically while making mental notes. This was definitely not the same person the nurse had described. 3 days later, Emeka was inspecting one of his supermarkets in Ikeja when fate intervened. He owned a chain of 12 upscale grocery stores across Lagos and made surprise visits to ensure quality standards were maintained. He was walking through the produce section, making notes on his phone, when his leather wallet slipped from his jacket pocket and fell to the floor near the vegetables display. "Excuse me, sir." The voice made him turn around. A young woman in a simple dress was hurrying toward him, holding his wallet in both hands. "You dropped this," she said, slightly out of breath. When their eyes met, Emeka felt a jolt of recognition, though he couldn't place why. She was beautiful in an understated way, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. "Thank you so much," he said, taking the wallet from her hands. Their fingers brushed briefly, and he noticed her hands were calloused from hard work. "You're welcome," she replied, then studied his face with a puzzled expression. "Have we met before?" "You look familiar." Something about her voice, her genuine concern, sparked a memory. "I don't think so. I'm Emeka." "Adunni," she said, still staring at him. "Are you feeling better now?" "Better?" "From your injuries. How did you recover so quickly?" "When I left you at the hospital, the nurses said you might not wake up for days." Emeka's heart stopped. You, you took me to the hospital? Adunni nodded, her expression growing more animated. 6 nights ago on a Gag Motor Road. You were unconscious, bleeding badly. What happened to you? Did the police catch the people who hurt you? The questions poured out of her with genuine concern, and Emeka realized he was looking at his real savior. You're the real Adunni, Emeka said softly, still holding his wallet. Real Adunni? What do you mean? He couldn't tell her about the other girl's deception, not yet. Nothing, just, I've been looking for you, to say thank you. You don't need to thank me, she said with a shy smile. Anyone would have done the same thing. Emeka doubted that was true. In his experience, most people minded their own business, especially in dangerous situations. Can I buy you lunch? There's a cafe upstairs. Adunni glanced around the busy supermarket, then at her simple clothes. I don't think I belong in places like this. Everyone belongs here, Emeka said gently. Please, it's the least I can do. Over lunch, he learned about her life. She worked as a bartender at Comfort Zone 3 nights a week and cleaned offices during the day. She was 26, had lost her parents young, and was supporting 2 younger siblings through school. What about you, she asked. What do you do? Business, he said vaguely, not wanting to reveal too much too soon. Import and export. When she excused herself to use the restroom, Emeka called Ibrahim. That girl, bring her to the Ikeja safe house. Now. What's wrong, sir? She's a fraud. I found the real Adunni. An hour later, Emeka sat across from the girl in the same apartment where she had tried to scam him. Her confident demeanor cracked when he began asking specific questions. Which hospital did you take me to? Lagos General, she said quickly. Wrong. Try again. Her eyes darted around nervously. University College Hospital? Still wrong. The real Adunni took me to Ikeja General Hospital. She knew the exact street where she found me, the name of the taxi driver who helped, even the color of the headscarf she used to stop my bleeding. The girl's face fell. Please, I just needed the money. Get out, Emeka said quietly, and don't let me see you at Comfort Zone again. As she hurried away, Emeka realized his life was about to change completely. The next morning, Emeka appeared at Comfort Zone during Adunni's shift. She looked surprised to see him in the humble establishment. Emeka, what are you doing here? I have something to tell you, he said, glancing around at the curious faces watching them. Can we talk outside? Under the morning sun, he took a deep breath and made a decision that would change both their lives. I lied to you yesterday, he began. I'm not a small businessman. I own that supermarket where you returned my wallet. I own 12 of them, actually. Adunni's eyes widened. What? I'm also the CEO of Okafor Holdings. We do real estate, construction, retail. I was robbed going to the airport that night you found me. She stepped back, looking stunned. Why are you telling me this? Because someone else has been pretending to be you, trying to get money from me. But more importantly, because I want to offer you something. I don't need your charity. It's not charity, it's business. He pulled out a folder from his car. I need a new manager for the Ikeja store. Someone honest, hardworking, someone I can trust. The salary is 200,000 naira monthly, plus benefits. Adunni stared at the job offer in disbelief. Why me? Because in a world full of people who only help when there's something in it for them, you risk your safety to save a stranger's life. That's the kind of character I need in my organization. Tears filled her eyes. I can't accept this. People will say I'm using you. Let them say whatever they want, Emeka replied. I know the truth. You saved my life expecting nothing in return. This is just me returning the favor. He paused, then added more softly. Besides, I have a feeling this is just the beginning of our story. 6 months later, Adunni stood in her new office overlooking the busy supermarket floor, reviewing inventory reports. As the youngest and most successful manager in the Okafor Holdings chain, she had exceeded every expectation. But more than that, she had become Emeka's most trusted advisor, the person he called when making difficult decisions. Their relationship had evolved from gratitude to friendship to something deeper that neither was quite ready to name. Knock, knock, Emeka said from her doorway, carrying 2 cups of coffee. Good morning, boss. she said with a smile that lit up the room. How many times do I have to tell you to call me Emeka? And how many times do I have to tell you that we're at work? He set the coffee on her desk and pulled up a chair. This had become their morning routine, discussing business over coffee while the city woke up below them. I have news, he said. The board approved your proposal for the new location in Surulere. Adunni's face broke into a huge grin. Really? They said yes. They said yes to you, not the proposal. Your presentation was flawless. She had worked for weeks on the business plan, analyzing demographics, foot traffic, competition. Her recommendations had impressed even the most skeptical board members. There's something else, Emeka said, his tone growing more serious. I want you to be the regional manager for all our Lagos stores. Emeka, that's a big responsibility, I know, but you're ready. You've transformed this location into our most profitable store. The staff respects you, customers love you, and he paused, looking directly into her eyes. I trust you completely. Later that evening, they stood on the rooftop of the supermarket, watching the Lagos sunset paint the sky in brilliant oranges and reds. The city sprawled endlessly below them, full of millions of stories of struggle and triumph. Do you ever think about that night? Adunni asked softly. Every day, Emeka replied. It was the worst and best thing that ever happened to me. How can being robbed and beaten be the best thing? He turned to face her, his expression serious. Because it led me to you. And you, Adunni Balogun, are the best thing that has ever happened to me. The words hung in the air between them, full of possibility and promise. What are you saying? She whispered. I'm saying that somewhere between your kindness, saving my life, and your brilliance, saving my business, I fell completely in love with you. Tears filled her eyes as she stepped closer to him. I love you too. I think I have since that first night, even when you were unconscious. As they kissed against the backdrop of the Lagos skyline, both of them knew that their story was just beginning. What had started with a random act of kindness had blossomed into something beautiful and real. And somewhere in the distance, the lights of the city twinkled like stars, illuminating all the possibilities that lay ahead for the billionaire and the woman who had saved his life by simply choosing to care. And so, dear viewers, this story reminds us that kindness is never wasted, even in a world that often rewards selfishness. Adunni could have walked past Emeka that night, but her choice to stop changed both their lives forever. Meanwhile, the imposter who tried to profit from lies ended up with nothing. Let this be a lesson. True wealth isn't in your bank account, but in your character. The money you chase may flee, but the love you plant will grow. If this story moved you, remember, your smallest act of compassion could be someone else's miracle. Until next time, stay kind and stay hopeful. The world needs more Adunnis. The end.